Good morning, everybody. Yeah, welcome back to the show. This is the Dum Yinzers episode 628. I'd like to say to everybody this morning, good morning. How you doing today, Mike?
I'm doing great, man. Just, I'm still basking in the victory from
You
Victory
know what? I am
Monday.
too.
It's going into Victory Tuesday. I'm not letting anyone's negative talk about the Steelers get to me because we can never enjoy a win here. We always have to find something negative. The losses we have to double, triple, quadruple down on. I'm not. It's not going to happen today.
We
I'm
did
just going to
ask
ride
the
high.
$1 million question yesterday. We'd said, everybody was thrilled. Everybody was happy and talking about this game pretty much all day
Hmm.
yesterday. And we said, what was it? What was it going to be? What would it be, guys, that Steeler fans would first complain about? Because I thought there was pretty much nothing. I mean, if you wanted to split hairs, you could find something. But we'll get more into that shortly. Derpy, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. I did not have coffee today, but I did have hot chocolate.
All right.
It is the hot chocolate time of the year, Derpy, so we will allow it.
Before we get into things, I do want to say good morning to Fearless Steel and Jen on the board. Good morning, always. A couple things before we do get started.
Good
I want to
morning, everyone.
say that the Hall of Fame of the rock and roll genre yesterday, its new inductees, uh, Cher, she made the Hall of Fame. In the gang, this is one that I thought was pretty funny. It was Dionne Warwick, Mike. Dionne Warwick is Hall of Fame. Wasn't she the lady
So
that
she
rips
finally
everybody
made it.
off?
She was the yeah. She had that what was it called? The psychic hotline stuff going on, but she was also a musician before that. So I
Hey, I'm
don't know
Dionne
exactly.
Warwick. I life in your
Yeah,
future. That lady, was that Dionne Warwick?
yeah,
Okay, she is
yeah,
in the Rock and
yeah.
Roll
That
Hall
was
of
Dionne
Fame.
Warwick. Yeah.
So Cher, Cool in the Gang, Dionne Warwick, Mary J. Blige, A Tribe Called Quest, Ozzy Osbourne, who it surprises me that he's only getting in right now. I'm very surprised actually. Maybe Black Sabbath was in already. I don't know. And then also
Yeah,
the
Black
Dave
Sabbath is
Matthews
already
Band
in.
and Dave Matthews.
Wait, Dave Matt.
Mike, could you lean forward or something?
Yeah, I'm working on my camera here. There we go.
Okay,
It
there
was
you
having
go.
trouble connecting. I got to get a new plug. It looks like it's dying. But so these guys get in before Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, Smashing Pumpkins, like Dave
Oh,
Matthews Band, who came out after all these guys.
yeah. Who votes this?
I'm just, only in Cleveland would you have this. Only in Cleveland would you have this. Like Ozzy himself, a solo artist, he should have been in a long time ago. It's stupid. It's
What
no
about the
longer the
other
Rock
people,
and Roll
Mike?
Hall of Fame. It's like the Music Hall of Fame, which is cool.
Well, it should be.
I
It should be the
like these
Music
guys.
Hall of
Like a
Fame.
lot of these acts should be venerated. Like Tribe Called Quest, are they really a rock band? But like they're maybe kind of you can a genre of, but I don't know. Like some of
I
these
like them
bands that
better
get
than I
in.
got to tell you. I like them better than a lot of rock bands that are in there. I'm a big Tribe Called
Exactly.
Quest fan.
Exactly.
I grew up with
Same thing with
Tribe
Mary
Called
J.
Quest.
Blige.
So
Yeah.
let me see if let's look through these people, Mike. Cher, of course, she should be in.
Yeah.
Again,
She
she's
should have been
like
a long
Ozzy. I
time
don't know.
ago.
I don't know why she's not in, but she is now. Cool in the Gang. I think I'm not a big a fan of the disco era, but I've certainly heard enough about Cool in the Gang to say, you know what, I'm okay with that. Again,
Yeah.
Dionne Warwick, she was one of these rip-off psychics, but I guess she must have been. I don't know. I acknowledge. I know she was a singer and she did that, but
Yeah.
again, to be a Hall of Famer, would have to say that you had great popularity. Which again, I know Dionne Warwick from the late night, stay up all night channels, and making
Yeah.
predictions about people's lives and things. Mary J. Blige, again, I acknowledge she's pretty good. I was never a big fan. A Tribe Called Quest, again, I've already expressed my opinion. Ozzy, again, I can't believe he's not in, but him and Cher, here we are in 2024. Cher and Ozzy Osbourne made the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And and the Dave Matthews Band, as you said, Mike, I think there's certainly a lot of bands that probably should have gotten in way
Yeah.
before the Dave Matthews. But that's how it plays out. That's the class of 2024, guys.
Yeah, that's just a weird one. I like all of them except the Dave Matthews Band. Like I said, that grunge era that we grew up in, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Smashing Pumpkins, who I'm not a big fan of, but I recognize how good they are. They should all be in before Dave Matthews. That's like, not putting in Lynn Swan or John Stallworth in the NFL Hall of Fame, make those guys wait. That's kind of what it feels like they're doing to the grunge era.
Yeah, man. That's all. That it looks like that's. Listen, Brian's asking, what is that at the bottom of the screen? That is the internal looking out of a butthole. Is actually what that is. If you look at that right now,
Yeah, that is
that's what
that's derpy.
That's what a turd looks like before it pops out. Or that's what a turd's looking at before it pops out.
Yeah.
But no, that is derpy down there. A couple more things, Mike, before we do get started.
Yes.
I got a friend request. I have a friend request on Facebook from Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson, do you think it's real?
From Beyond the Grave, it might be. That man was into some weird things, and you never know with Tommy G or Tommy J.
I mean, I can see these fake. I mean, sometimes I get a TJ Watt invite and it's not really him, or a Ben Roethlisberger, and it's these fake sites, or people make these pages up.
Yeah.
Thomas Jefferson. I never thought I would see the day, but Thomas Jefferson did send me an invite. I don't know if I should accept or not. I don't know if it's really him. So
you should. Just see what happens. You never know. Next thing you know, we'll be broadcasting live from Monticello.
Yeah, man.
Well, actually, that would be awesome if we could broadcast live from Monticello. Oh, that's all also, I got on that one.
I got a question. This is for everybody. Everybody on the board, everybody at home. And you already know what it is, Mike. We've talked about this off the air. Does anybody recall back in the day seeing on TV, seeing on a movie? Good Gerbil's point of view, John said. Good morning, John and Brian.
Let me winks.
And on these movies or shows back in the day, when somebody would express that they have no money or they were broke, what did they do? They would take their hands, put it in their pockets, and pull their pockets out. And their pockets would be hanging outside of their pants. And what it would be them indicating that they were broke. They had no money. Hey, Mike, do you have any money? He'd pull out the pockets, and they would be hanging there, and he'd be like, nope, I'm broke. If anybody remembers this, just indicate on the board that you do remember this, and I'll tell you why in just a second. And I thought of this, and all right, well, I brought this up to Mike the other day, and I said, Mike, do you remember this? He has no recollection of ever seeing that in his life.
Is that what Bob Nutting does?
I find that unbelievable. Derpy, have you ever seen this?
No.
Huh.
The gerbil's butthole said no.
Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know.
You might be crazy. And I wonder, like I said, does Bob Nutting walk around like the MLB owners meeting with his pockets hanging out? Him and the guy from the Oakland A's, they just have their pockets hanging out.
Yes. Look at Brian says yes, Ryan. Well, I'll remember. Jen said yes, I do. Huh. So now look who's getting teamed up on you freaks. Mike and Derpy.
Well, I don't understand.
I just even saw.
Well, you and Brian, I know, are from an older demographic than me, so maybe it's like an old people thing.
And John
and Steeler and even Steeler freak.
Before you go on to insult everybody's show,
I'm going to insult everyone on the board.
I just can't believe, Mike, still
I'm
to
shots
this
fired
day,
at
in
everyone
2024
today.
That you still have not. It's a very known expression for not having exactly. The fact that you've heard of it blows my mind. It really blows my mind. Very surprised. But it seems like everybody that's on the board has heard about it.
I think
Derpy maybe. Derpy is, he's younger. He is in his 20s, and
this
you know what?
Like...
I understand, and I'll accept that. But Mike, you.
This feels like
you're
some
the one that
sort
surprises
of
me the
long
most.
con against. This feels like a long con against me. I do not know this. I swear you have set this up for like a week and a half now, coordinated with everyone on the board on the side. Thank you.
See, Mike's over
See,
here doing
me and
media.
Feel the Steel.
Mike's over here doing
We know
political
stuff.
propaganda. He's Mike's doing political propaganda. He's literally only putting up the the comments.
No. I
that
put
go
up
toward his.
I put up everyone's comments, not just
All right.
me and Steel. Working together over here.
All right. And finally, I listen to this, guys. I was doing a little work for my day job, at the radio station over the weekend, and I seen a belly dancer, guys. Mike, you even seen the belly dancer, and I got to tell you, it's a little bit more exhilarating than I thought it was seeing a belly dancer live. You seen him on TV, you're like, yeah, whatever, chick, hot, whatever, midriff, everything hang. Dude, I got to tell you, if you ever see a belly dancer, I'm sure John out in the Vegas area, you probably are familiar with these kind of things. But I got to tell you guys, I seen a belly dancer, I seen it live, and it stopped me in my tracks. I had to stand there and I watched this belly dancer for a period of time. There's something hypnotic about watching a belly dancer, guys. I've never ever in my life seen a belly dancer. Mike, would you agree that that was something else?
I see. I didn't see her performing. I saw her either when she was done or getting ready to walk towards, and like me, I was in the car with my kid. He was oblivious to what was going on, but his mother's in the car, and even she was like, oh my god, look at her!" And there's
Yeah.
this, like the core, the stomach is how tight and muscular, and then the control. There's something hypnotic about belly dancers.
They're really it's hypnotic. That's the word I was looking for. As I said, I found myself standing there for about 8 to 10 minutes and I'm just watching and they do this thing, the whole thing they got going on. They start real slow and then it gets
Mm-hmm.
faster and then they start bellying and then they have these little things on their fingers. It's like little symbols. I don't know. I got to tell you, if you've never seen belly dancers, check it out. I was into it. All right. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Thomas Jefferson,
Belly
belly
dancers.
dancers. Mike
That's how we
never
start
heard
the show.
inside out pockets. I don't know what's going on. Let's talk some sports, guys. The big news I think that happened over the past 24 hours. Yeah, I do too, John.
Nice callback, Jen. Nice callback. I love it. Yeah, that I think that's where he was Saturday or Sunday with helping her with the flat tire.
Who was?
You weren't here. We had this whole thing. We believe you were out helping a damsel in distress fix a flat
Oh, I
tire.
was helping a damsel in distress,
And
but
like
it wasn't
Jen
even
said, it
that
was the
day.
one.
So Mike's making things up. That wasn't even
No,
that
no, no.
day. That Mike, it was a
Was
whole
it a
different day.
dude belly dancer?
You jackass! It was a whole different day.
Well, how they see, we were trying to give you credit. You're hooking up with
No,
the
I don't
belly
want your
dancer.
credit. Listen, I
Hey, we're
can
trying
stick
to
up for
help.
myself. Mike,
We're
please relax.
You need to go back and rewatch the. If you haven't, right, you need to go watch back. You're a highlight of the pregame show.
But also the big news, guys, over the past 24 hours is Brandon Ayuk
Oh
going
God.
down for the season with a torn ACL MCL. So now these are the two big wide receivers, guys, that we were looking at over the past, month or so. Brandon Ayuk, of course, from the 49ers, he blows out his knee. And then Devontae Adams, he wasn't overly impressive. I got to tell you, he wasn't overly impressive in Las Vegas. And I got to say, I wasn't super impressed with him when I see from him from New York. So maybe we are somehow lucky by not filling our roster and putting a second wide receiver on this team. Because you know what? A lot of times these guys have proven that they were headaches for the teams that they were on. Brandon Ayuk was a headache for San Francisco. Devontae was a headache in Las Vegas. And you know what? Their production so far this year isn't that fantastic. So maybe we're not as bad off as we thought we're having the in season and then they're out, blah, blah, blah. So that, Mike, I'm thankful. I'm thankful till this point. But let me ask you, 2 weeks from today is the trade deadline. Do we make a move? Do we have a number 2 receiver 3 weeks from now?
What I think they're probably gonna say, look, man, we got a little production out of Calvin Austin. We got a little production out of Van Jefferson with Russ last week. Let's see what we have against the Giants. And then if they show, these guys get 4 or 5 catches, 50, 60, 70 yards out of one or two of them, they might not. They might go, okay, it was Fields not seeing these guys. These guys are being schemed open. Now they're making some plays. We're getting all the tight ends involved. We get the running game going. We're fine where we are. I can see that scenario playing out. So I'm
And what
not
I don't think
holding my
sitting
breath
five and
to
two. I
go
don't
get a
think we're
receiver.
anywhere close to being fine.
No, no,
I don't
no.
think at five
But
and two
I'm
we're
going
anywhere
by
close to being
what they
fine
would
on the
be
receiver
thinking.
front.
Yeah.
Field of Steel, I agree with you 100%. I think that Cooper Cup would be
Oh,
a fantastic pickup, and if we could pull that off. But I got to say, listen, guys, if we go into the playoffs or even down the stretch when we're playing Baltimore or we're playing Kansas City or Philadelphia or Washington, and one of these teams can shut down George Pickens, or let's just say, God forbid, that George Pickens blows out his ACL,
yeah.
and we have a whole year now to play football without a number one receiver. Now we're back to, we're back further than we were. I think at some point we do have to pull the trigger. And again, we have 2 weeks from today. I believe it's election day is actually the trade
Yeah.
deadline, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So
They overlap.
I hope that they make some kind of move, Mike. And I see that's Mike Williams. We're talking about him from the Jets. I wasn't overly impressed with him. So as I'm looking around the league, I mean, who do you go after? Who do you go after at this point, Mike? I mean, the guys that we wanted, the high profile names, they're off the table. At this point, who do the Steelers go after?
For me, it's still going to be someone along those lines of, oh, God, oh my God, from Jacksonville, Christian Kirk.
Christian
Um,
Kirk.
yeah, Christian Kirk. I'd go after him. I know he signed a pretty big contract in the offseason, but it wouldn't be prohibitive for us to go make the trade for him because Jacksonville is falling apart fast. They look like they are more than just him away from rebounding this team this year and next. I can see getting him for a mid to low round draft pick. Um, he's like the big one coming to mind. I don't see the Broncos trading Cortland Sutton anymore. The way they're starting to roll and play, Cooper Cup, he has almost a $30 million cap hit for this year. I don't know what he has left, but if Omar Khan can make it work and say, hey, we can give you some draft compensation, you guys hold on
Mike,
to
realistically, what's the
absorb some of the
chances?
salary.
What's the chances that Cooper Cup could be on this team in a month from now? Realistically,
Realistically, a 0.5% chance.
yeah.
I just don't see it happening. For me, it's got to be someone along the lines of like a Christian Kirk. Um, God, that's the only one coming to mind. Chargers, they have gotten rid of all the receivers. Patriots, they suck, but they have no one to get rid of. Um,
Metcalf.
DK Metcalf, but Seattle's in first place. They're 4-3. With San Francisco being bad, I don't see them being sellers. Um, hey, here's one I actually saw people floating and debating this around online. No one's serious, but calling Carolina back up and getting Deontay Johnson.
Mm.
Now
I mean,
that would be the funniest. That would be the funniest move of all
well,
time.
there's a delay. You can't get him back immediately after a trade, right? You have to wait a period of time.
I'm not sure.
I'm
I don't
pretty
know
sure
the.
I just saw this. It's like a season.
Okay.
You can't
Oh,
if
okay.
you
You
trade
can't trade
somebody
back
away.
for. Okay, yeah. Like I said, no one seriously was saying this, but it made me laugh. I'd take a look at maybe DeAndre Hopkins out of Tennessee. They're 1-5.
That's one that
They're
I
not.
keep seeing popping up.
Yeah, him. I would take. I wouldn't take Calvin Ridley from them. I know he was a popular choice after he sat out his suspension, but he's playing terrible. Um, Tyler Boyd from Tennessee. I don't know if they're allowed
Tennessee.
to trade him, even though he was a free agent signing. But I, DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk. Those are the guys I would look for. D Hop more of a short term. Christian Kirk more of the next couple years type of guy to mix it in with the receivers that we have. Those were the two I'd look at. Me personally, I'd go after D Hop. I like him and George on the outside than everyone else on the inside. I think that receiving core gets so much better.
And that's the thing. People are all, they're always going to say, it just depends, because it depends what kind of Steeler fan you're talking about. One kind of Steeler fan will say this dude is old. On the other hand, people will say, you know what, it's D-Hop, bring him in. I actually would like the idea, and especially at this point in the season. I mean, again, here we are. We're almost halfway through this year. We're going to be, again, listen, we were talking about the schedule yesterday, Mike, and how I said it's not as scary as it was initially. But listen to this. Every team that we have left after this week, okay, we go into the break in that second half of the schedule, in the run that we always talk about, with the exception of the two division teams, the Browns and the Bengals, every other team that we play is a first or second place team in the NFL currently. So it didn't get any easier. I think just the fact that the Browns and the Bengals didn't play up to all the shit that they talked during the offseason makes me feel that it's not as tough as a schedule. But you go and you look at the schedule, the Washington Commanders are in first place. The obviously the Baltimore Ravens, we get them 2 times. They're in first place. The Kansas City Chiefs are in first place. Everybody we play is in one of the first 2 places in their division, and then the Browns and the Bengals, which again, when you're playing interdivision football, those aren't always gimmies. So I think that we do need to make this improvement. I think that it's crazy that we even made it this far into the season without getting our number 2 receiver. And for somebody to even say that Van Jefferson is that guy, I mean, I don't even know if they're saying it tongue in cheek or what, but come on. I think the guy's biggest day was this past weekend, and it was barely a day. But you know what? Everything else looked good, so we all said, "Hey, look what Van Jefferson did." So again, I sure hope, and if you're serious about making a run and serious about getting into the playoffs, you would make a move. You wouldn't sit on your hands through the trade deadline. I wouldn't think. I think that that's crazy. So hopefully here, as I said, the next 2 weeks, I hope that we bring somebody in. At this point, a Deontay Johnson, which we can't get back just yet, but somebody like him would be fine, because again, we have less than what we had when we had him, and you need to have somebody in that position, somebody of quality. And I think, who was saying that I'm jinxing?
Mark Malone. Mark Malone was saying you're putting the bad voodoo on.
Mark Malone said, "Don't jinx George Pickens." Could you imagine? Could you imagine if we lost George? Can you imagine? Come on, guys.
No, I cannot. I cannot. You okay now? See, now I was feeling good about this team. Now you're talking about George getting hurt. Now I feel sad and depressed.
Let me just go through a couple of these messages on the board. Yeah, let's see. Don't put the voodoo on George Pickens. Van Jefferson is already here.
Yeah, baby. He had a breakout.
Wilson was getting more targets. I'm not sure they need another. Ryan's burp tells me that he had a blueberry tone. Close, John. Mike, you're not allowed to get Johnson back. It's a few years. Jen says Jaguars. John says can't trade back the same year. And Field of Steel says, wait, I forgot we have an offense now. Sorry, fellas. Listen to this. 2 years ago, Kenny Pickett had a winning record. Last year, Pickett and Rudolph had winning records. This year, Justin Fields has a winning record, and so far, Russell Wilson has a winning record. This is how we are as fans when you get 4 out of your 5 quarterbacks that played for you, Mitch Trubisky. But this is how you are as fans when you have 4 quarterbacks in the last 3 seasons that all had winning records, and you still listen. This is what happens when you have a Ben.
What more?
Could you imagine being a Patriots fan trying to fill the shoes of Tom Brady? That people must be losing their minds here. We had a top 5. We have a top 5 quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger, and it's going to take us a long time to come down from that high, because it's just it. And listen, this is where I'm going with this. The Green Bay Packers, it didn't start with Favre. It came after him. But Favre was there. He did a really good job. And then they planned ahead, and they got Aaron Rodgers. They let him sit behind Favre. They let him learn the system. And then when Favre's time came, they moved Aaron Rodgers into position. When Aaron Rodgers was in his prime, coming over the hill, basically, they bring in Jordan Love. And they let him sit behind Rodgers and learn the offense. And when it's time for Rodgers to move along, Jordan Love steps right into place. This is a team that has it. They know how to handle this situation. Maybe, just maybe, we should start picking one of these really good quarterbacks in these mid-years guys that we watch go to other teams and end up being really good. and let them sit back and watch for a year or two and move them into place, because we're going to pull our hair out with this quarterback situation. Again, 4 of the 5 quarterbacks had winning records,
Yeah.
and we are nowhere happy.
No.
Maybe with a little bit what happened Sunday night, happy about what's going on with the Steeler room on this, or the quarterback room, I'm sorry, on this Steeler team. So, Mike, do we learn from the Packers maybe sometime when we're successful and you see a good quarterback in the draft,
Take 'em.
maybe start using your picks and trades and everything else to try to get one of them guys and work into place? Because here's the thing about the Packers, Mike, they have very little down years in between, because these guys are ready to step in. Aaron Rodgers was pretty good right off the bat. Again, Jordan Love looking pretty good off the bat. Can we learn something from a team like this?
You would think, but it's the way the Steelers operate. It's always win now, and we'll just keep winning. We'll be competitive year in, year out, and eventually we'll luck into one of these guys instead of going, you know what, let's sacrifice a first round pick, and then we'll stash them for 2-3 years. So when our starter's ready to go, or he's done, we have this guy ready to go, and we can make that long term view. But it's just not an organizational philosophy. And you thought like a team like Belichick, like you thought he would have had a plan in place for when Brady retired. New England.
Yeah, his was
the
get the
only
hell
one
out
who
of
does.
town.
The only one who did was Green Bay. But in that same time frame, they had the same amount of Super Bowls as the Steelers. So
or 30 other teams
like,
in the league. I mean, literally, there's only 1 or 2 teams that's winning the Super Bowl anymore. And this goes to show you, we had 4 guys that had winning records, but we know, because we had the Ben. We know what it takes. We know that you need the guy, and we're sitting here in Pittsburgh with 4 guys that had winning records in the past 3 seasons, and we're deflated. We're depleted. We're saying we need a quarterback. People are probably looking at us. Well, what's going on? Why can't you win with what you have? You do understand the concept, guys, that you have to have one of these top caliber quarterbacks in the NFL if you plan on winning a championship. You do. Again, you just do. I don't know what's happened to the league where it became like this, but
now
it seemed
it's
like
everyone wants their quarterback to start right away. We're going to invest in you. We have the team built up. We're going to play you cheap on this rookie contract, and if you win, awesome. If you don't, oh well, we're just going to get rid of you in 3 years, 4 years, and grab another quarterback before your big money kicks in. That's what a lot of teams want to do now. Whereas Green Bay, they were smart. They were able to manipulate the cap, have both quarterbacks. Big money quarterback goes, and now we're able to have the money from this guy. We're just going to transfer it over to you to be ready to go. We have everyone else in place. Hopefully now with Omar being the GM, being the money guy and the GM, that's what we will see happen in the future. But I won't believe it till I see it.
I won't believe anything else until I see Omar Khan get another receiver in this team. I got to be honest. If they don't get a number 2, I'm going to really start questioning this dude. But anyway, we'll worry about that in the next 2 weeks when it happens. But I like him a lot. I like what he's done to this point. He's done a lot of great things for this team and building it. So, guys, let's get started on a couple things. Let's talk, Mike, about for a second. Najee Harris, he has had 2. He had back-to-back 100-yard rushing games, one against the Raiders, once against the Jets. Going up against the Giants team this week that could very well give up a 100-yard rusher, which they got murdered by their former running back, Saquon Barkley, this past weekend.
Oh, yeah.
This tells me, guys, that we have a pretty good chance to see it again. Mike, can this be, and it's even crazy to say this because Najee Harris has been, somewhat successful in his first 3 years in the league, 1,000 yards. Mike, is this his breakthrough season?
I think so.
Because, again, you're going to see the Bengals. You're going to see a Browns team that's defense was nowhere close to what it was last year. So far, so good with Najee.
Yeah, and you can see he's a slightly different runner. He might not be as explosive to the hole as we like him to be, but you see him, he's making these little jump cuts now to where before, if the hole wasn't there, he'd run into him. Now for some odd reason, this last half of the first half of the season, he's seen running lanes better. I think it was that last touchdown run. Surprise, surprise, Broderick Jones was bowled over, and he did a little jump cut to the inside and wiggled his way into the end zone. We're seeing him do more little cuts, making guys miss and do these little jukes that we haven't seen this from Najee. And I'm loving to see it. I wish we'd have saw this 2 years ago, so we would have given him that 50-year, put that 50-year option on him, and we'd have him be able to work on a long-term contract. I think maybe this is like he knows it's a contract year. He's playing for to get a contract here in Pittsburgh or elsewhere, and he's putting everything out on throwing everything out on the field, leaving it all out there. And I'm loving this. This is the Najee Harris I thought we were getting in the draft 4 years ago, and I'm glad to finally see it. I'm glad he's breaking out now. I just hope we will be able to afford him because I think he's going to make himself some money in the open market this year.
Yeah, I'm very impressed. I got to also say this, Mike. The fact that Warren is back in the lineup too, with Najee running well and Warren back in the lineup, because I think that if Najee's running good, then Warren should also be able to run pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, going into this week against the Giants, I'm feeling pretty optimistic about a lot of different things, to be honest. I like this. Let's get this win. Let's get to the break. Let's start recouping, getting ready for the second half of the season. Like as of last night, I was hoping that we would get a little bit of help from the Baltimore Ravens. Of course, they beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I wasn't surprised, and this is why. Baker Mayfield is like a Joe Flacco to me. No matter where he goes, he's just going to be one of these guys that always screw the Steelers. Because even when Flacco left the Ravens, he still finds a way to screw the Steelers. Look at last year when he played for the Browns. Look at this year when he played for Indianapolis. I think that Baker Mayfield is the same kind of guy. He's just going to be one of these guys. He beat us up in the playoffs in Cleveland. Now we could use a little help from him, and he loses. I just kind of look at him as that guy. He's never going to help us. He always just seems to hurt us. So F that. The Ravens win this one 41-31. We get a little bit of AFC help because the Cardinals beat the Chargers. So that's a little bit, little help in the second Monday night game last night. The Chargers lose that game 17-15 to the Arizona Cardinals. The division, Mike, it breaks down like this. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens are 5-2 atop the division. Second place is the Cincinnati Bengals with a 3-4 record. And way down in the bottom of the toilet is the Cleveland Browns, 1-6. I'm going to say it right off the top, I'm very surprised. I thought they were a better team than this. But maybe now that Deshaun Watson is out of the lineup, maybe they will get good again like they did last year when Deshaun Watson wasn't in the lineup.
Yeah, I think they're a much better team with Jameis Winston as quarterback. Like, Deshaun Watson was just terrible. I saw reports, though, too, that it looks like teams are starting to contact the Browns about Myles Garrett.
I saw that.
And if that is true and he gets shipped out of the AFC North, I will be happy.
It must be so great that they're already willing to get rid of him,
Well, when you realize you have an impossible rebuild in front of you, you might want to start selling off assets.
I did see another article, Mike, that said he was one of the most overrated players in the league, which I don't necessarily disagree with. I do not necessarily disagree.
You know what? I wouldn't mind him on the team. Have him out there instead of Larry O or Clayton Hayward.
Oh, absolutely.
I would take him in a heartbeat.
Don't get me wrong.
I would take him.
Do not get me wrong. I would take him in a heartbeat.
Cleveland, we will gladly offer you a 5th-round pick for Myles Garrett. It's what we can do out of the goodness of our hearts. But I want to take real quick here for his comment about Najee and the stack boxes. He's been facing I think he has the highest percentage of 8-9 man in the box every time he goes to run. And I think that's why he kind of changed his style a little bit this year to give himself a little wiggle room to help break through. And like you said, though, now with more, we have a better passing attack, teams got to go back to playing 2 high safeties against the Steelers now. And that's going to open up the run lanes even more. And the way that line's blocking, the way Najee's running, I think we can finally have the offense that Arthur Smith was looking for.
The only thing that's
run and there's play action.
About what you just said is the offensive line. I'm still not convinced that this team, this offensive line is ready for a long haul run. So far so good. You went through the first half of the season, playing pretty well. You got to where we are. We're 5-2. But for this team, this offensive line to continue to carry this team the way that it has through the second half of the season into the playoffs, make a playoff run. There's a lot we're asking of this offensive line, Mike. I'd like to see some of these guys get healthy to get back in just to kind of spell the guys that are, filling in and getting it done at some point. Maybe over the bye we could get some people healthy. But again, it's a lot to ask of a bunch of guys who shouldn't really be NFL starters. maybe in the future, maybe down the road.
Yeah.
The rookie that I can't think of his name right off the top of my head, but I
McCormick.
mean these people shouldn't. I mean McCormick especially, he shouldn't be starting at this point in the NFL. He's overachieving. He's doing really well, but
Oh
again,
yeah,
how
yes.
far does a line that's put together like this can that take you into a playoff run?
Hey,
It's a lot to ask.
it's a lot to ask. We saw a worse offensive line win a Super Bowl.
But they
Granted,
were
we
more
did it.
experienced though. They weren't
They
all
were more
rookies.
experienced, but I love what I'm seeing out of Mason McCormick. He might be my new favorite Steeler. This guy is a Yinzer at heart. I love it. When he was doing that celebration, the first down, doing the finger pointing, because you can't do the finger guns. That's a flag now. But Mason McCormick is becoming one of my favorite offensive linemen. He is fun to watch. This is the way he plays. He's starting to play under control now. When he first came in, he was playing like he did in college, just running around, chicken with his head cut off. Now he's playing with more control. You get Zach Frazier back. Those two are a good guard center tandem. Sayamalo's solid. Dan Moore's solid. He's got to worry about Project Jones. And I like what I saw out of McCollum, too, at center. He wasn't
Oh, he's filling in
overpowering.
just fine. I think he could start. He
He
could be a starter.
he wasn't overpowering, but he was playing the angles perfectly. He's like, okay, I can't overpower
Yeah.
Quinn him, but I can just do enough to change the trajectory of the way he's rushing, and it worked well.
He is
That's a
one of the
smart
most.
smart. He was
He's
smart.
he's doing a lot of the overachieving on that offensive line. Our center is playing out of his mind. As I said, I would be okay moving forward with him being our starting center, but fortunately, that's not the case. We'll be getting our
At
center
first, we get
back.
Frazier back, but I
But
think
I mean, come on,
McCollum
this
can play
guy's
guard
playing
too.
just as well, if not better, than Frazier from what I've seen. But again, that's a short, small dose. We will see this week. Also moving forward, let me catch a couple comments here, Mike. Russell Wilson has his own sandwich at Permanis. Brian said, from one man's opinion. John says it helps Harris when. Okay, you did get that, Mike.
Yeah,
Great. Garrett to KC would suck. Absolutely. Can you? Yes, it would.
and that defense is already damn good too. That's an underrated defense.
Mark Malone says yes. McCollum step. I was thrilled. I was thrilled with the way he played. And then also Brian says, I heard a guy named Brian Basquell from Cleveland was saying Garrett is completely overrated. You just hold that moment, Brian, because I think I'm going to be landing in your backyard here in just a second. But speaking of backyards and gerbils looking out of buttholes, Derpy, but Derpy, where are you at on all this? I was we were talking and I looked down and I seen that you were being quiet. What do you think about this offensive line? Do you think it's going to be able to get us down through the second stretch of the season? Do you think that this offensive line is going to be okay in the playoffs? What do you think, Derpy?
I think they'll be okay.
You think they'll be all right?
Yeah.
It's just such a long season. And what if these guys start dropping like fly? I mean, there's no reason to think that they wouldn't. Everybody on this team's been getting injured and falling, and so it'd be crazy to think that these guys will stay healthy, but that will then make another problem when we get there. So, Mike, you're satisfied, you're okay with the offensive line where we're at the moment, and you feel that
Yeah,
we could make a deep run in the playoffs with what we have.
I think we can. What? Yeah, there's encouraging signs. Um, for me, the weak link on the line is Broderick Jones. My God, I've never seen someone feast or famine from play to play the way he has right now.
Hey,
Like
this is
one play,
stale.
you watch him, he's just bowling people over. The next play, he's picking his nose.
Yeah.
And him and Aaron Rodgers eating boogers together. And then the next play, he's bowling people over. If he can get his head right, I think this line will be not as good as we were hoping it would be, but good enough to get us into the playoffs and do a nice little run.
Guys, also we did promote former top 10 pick cornerback CJ Henderson over the past 24
Yeah.
hours. Of course, he was on the practice squad, whether that's going to help or not. We also do have Cam Sutton, Mike, after another week of playing football. He will be back during the break while we're on a bye. Secondary, looking pretty good. What do you think?
By the way, this comment needs to be the comment of the day. Derpy's animated and excited answers are why I keep coming back.
Me too.
It's
Me
like in
too.
Major League. Marty, anything to add? Nope. I swear you're the best color man in the business.
So the secondary, though, Mike, you think the
Yeah.
secondary will be good enough moving down the stretch again? It's looking pretty good.
Hmm.
It's looking pretty good. And then you get your Cam Sutton back from suspension,
Yeah.
and then you get a little bit of some C.J. Henderson. You satisfied with what the secondary has?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, very, very much so. And it seems the past 2 weeks, the communication issues have more or less gone away. You're not seeing these busted zone coverages, deep zone coverage where we were getting killed, guys getting confused. Now that seems to be taken care of. Teams are going to be able to pass in this league, so I'm not worried about when there's big games and stuff. That shit happens every game. But overall, I am happy with this secondary. Like you said, get Cam Sutton back is going to be huge. I read like the reason they kind of promoted McCollum this week is like there was rumors that a couple teams were going to try and sign him off the practice squad. So we did a little finessing, move him around. He might get dropped back down if Dante Jackson's able to go. They can move him back down and save him again for another week. Looks like not Darius Rush, but Corey Trice is getting close to coming back as well. Like when he had time to play, he was looking good. So we're getting reinforcements in the secondary. We have options, and I think we might have one of the better secondaries in the league, especially the way Deshaun Elliott's playing, the way Dante Jackson's playing, the way Joey Porter's playing. Beanie Bishop can keep improving the way he has. We might have a top 5 secondary in the league.
All right, guys. So now, yesterday I asked on the show, we won. I figured I could wait to the last third of the show to bring this up. I didn't want to damper the whole hour. Yesterday on the show, I asked the question, what is it after everybody was excited yesterday? Everybody's still excited. Victory Monday was a lot of fun. Gave you a chance to talk shit. But my question was this. What was it going to be? What's it going to be? What is the first thing that people are going to complain about that is going to suck the life and the fun right out of the Steelers win? And I think yesterday it happened, and it was between two allies. Yesterday on the board after the show, on the comment board, Mike and Brian, they were going at it about TJ Watt. And I think, guys, we found what it is that people are going to complain about first, because TJ Watt didn't look fantastic on Sunday. And I think Brian would argue that. And Mike would say that TJ Watt did his job to a degree to where other things were able to happen. And, he was warding off the people that was, being assigned to him, and other people were free to do it. Okay. So that, guys, I found was the first complaint of the game from Sunday night. I listen, I'm not going to get pulled into this. I'm still going to enjoy this. As a matter of fact, I'm going to watch the game again later. But is this something we should be debating about, arguing about back and forth, or is this a legitimate call by Brian? Because I don't think that either of you are wrong, but just how wrong or just how right are you guys, Mike?
I felt he was being blocked by 2-3 guys every single play. They were shifting their entire coverage over, or line protection over to him. That freed up other people, freed up the other linebackers, middle linebackers, to make plays. They didn't. They hardly ran to his side again.
What do you have?
Even though they were double teaming. He had a tackle. Yeah, he had a tackle, one pressure, one pass defend.
So let me just paint this picture before you go on. When people talk about the best defensive player in the league, you're looking for the best defensive player to call him the defensive player of the year, this and that. He makes one tackle in a game against the New York Jets. So basically, what I think Brian is saying, that this particular player, as we probably say about Myles Garrett, should be doing a lot more in the situation he's in. But Mike says, wait a minute. He is doing more. He's doing his job. We're just not seeing those results because they're not sacks. They're not this or that, but he is doing his job, taking double team, blah, 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 blah. So again, I don't know if either you were wrong, but it's interesting because I said, what is going to be the first thing that is a complaint from the game? And that was the first one that I heard. As a matter of fact, to this point, that's literally the only complaint that I heard yet. So again,
this right here,
I don't think
this right here,
wrong.
Yeah. The comment, like, he pancaked Watt. Watt was already engaged with a blocker, and he was blindsided by a second person. Of course you're going to fall over. And that's what happens when you're moving forward this way, fighting with someone, and someone hits you from the side, you tend to get knocked over. But again, two guys were on him that play. Of course, the running back was able to leak out and get the pass because our middle backers weren't covering him. But yeah, when you have 2, 3 guys having to account for one player, that is you're scheming up your offense to take away one guy. Okay, we don't want this one guy to beat us. Now that frees up 10 guys. The other 10 guys to have only have to go against 8 or 9 other guys, and that helped the defense out in the end. We only gave up 15 points. If they want to, if they're afraid of T.J. Watt, okay, you have 10 other guys you have to worry about, and a lot of these guys are star players. Highsmith should be able to make plays. Cam was making plays. Minka should have made some plays. Deshaun Elliott was making plays. Our corners were making plays. You want to take away one guy, okay? You still have 10 other guys out there that are making plays. That's what happens sometimes when you're a star player. You're not going to get the stats because you're getting the attention and you are affecting the game in a major way. They were so scared of him. They accounted so many resources to one guy. And look, it worked out for the Steelers.
So if you do want to check it out, go to yesterday's comments from yesterday's show. I found it pretty entertaining between these two. Again, I don't feel that either of them are wrong. I feel that they're both right. They're just arguing kind of from different angles. But that was the one thing that I did hear from this game that did have Steeler fans talking any negative manner. Again, Mike, we're going from one.
I heard it. I heard another one. People were complaining that Russ kept underthrowing people.
Well, he did.
He did, but the plays were made.
Well, not the plays where he was gunning him into the ground. But
no. All the deep passes to Pickens, they're underthrown. They're underthrown. They're right there in the breadbasket, though.
No, I don't know. You have to really come out with individuals because I mean, there's a lot of throws throughout the course of the game. But Mike, also, I do want to say this. Mike's full of excuses. Why can't Steeler fans admit he had a terrible game? It's always excuses. So again, we're going to move on. But if you want to follow this,
if you want to follow this,
you could always go over to yesterday's comments or even today after the show and see if they go at it again today. I found it a bit entertaining. But guys, we have still a lot to go on. We can't continue with this. We can have a debate on the show moving forward, but today I just have X amount of time to do X amount of things. So I'm sure Mike and him will probably start here shortly. So if you want to keep up with that drama, you're certainly welcome. But here is, guys, this is the help that we got around the league this week. It wasn't the Baltimore Ravens. They got the win. Also, the Bengals beat the Browns. And this weekend, guys, it's the Ravens versus the Browns in Cleveland. Derpy, is there any chance Cleveland wins this game against Baltimore in Cleveland?
What was that?
Is there any chance that Baltimore can lose to Cleveland in Cleveland this coming week?
No.
And I agree. And then the Eagles and Bengals. I mean, is there any chance the Bengals could beat the Eagles, Derpy?
No.
See, I don't think so either. I think we're going to get a little bit of help this weekend, guys. But we do. Oh, yeah. Here they go.
You wouldn't let me say it. I had to type it.
Well, I know, but it's kind of distracting, and we got other things we still want to talk about.
It's fun.
It really is. I mean, like I said, take it after the show afterwards, guys.
It's fun banter on the show.
I understand, Mike, but listen, let's do a debate on the show. No, why you gotta be difficult?
Why do you be pissy about two people having?
No, listen, Mike, I'm not being pissy. I'm coming up with I have a idea like you did. Okay, so if I could please.
Fucking Christ! Baby.
What's your problem? What's your problem?
No. Anytime I try to go about anything, you just go.
Please give me any kind of please. Besides for what you're talking about right now.
Let's move on.
No, because you're literally bullshitting.
Yeah.
You're lying.
No.
Yes, you are. You're lying.
No. We're cool, man. Keep going.
No, because we
were having fun in a segment. Yeah, me and Brian.
But what I was about to say when you stopped listening and started being a shit was this.
Oh, fuck you, dude. Fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you. Listen, let's have a debate. Fuck you. Let's have a debate on this show between you and him, so you two could go at it and debate. That's all I'm going to say because that would make sense. Why are you against that?
We were doing it right here. We were literally doing it right here.
Why are you against that? Are you afraid of him?
We were doing it right here. No, I'm not afraid of him. I was just getting my last little piece in there to have some fun with him on the show where we talk
Mike,
about sports and have fun.
Tell me
Do
something
you
I
really
don't know.
understand? Do you really understand? Because right now
I
it
do
doesn't
really
feel like you.
understand.
Right now it doesn't feel like you do.
I understand entirely.
No,
Entirely. Let me
no,
read what you said.
no,
You
no.
said
Like
to him,
when we were talking
if you
about.
don't know the difference between facts and excuses, Webster's wrote a book to help you out.
Yeah,
That doesn't sound like, come on.
yeah. That's
You guys are
a
taking shots,
cheap.
which is fine.
It's a
Let's
cheeky
do
little
it.
thing to
Let's
say to
have a
him.
segment. Let's entertain.
Like,
Let's use it for the show instead of making these little side notes that people may or may
we
not
were
be
having a
hearing.
segment. We were
Like they might
having.
not be hearing if they're listening to the shows. What I'm saying, you're
We were
taking out half
having.
the audience by doing this. Let's have a
And we
debate
were
on the show.
and we were talking about negative
I
things
think a
Steelers
debate
as
would
fans
be a good
said.
idea.
See,
I
I
was
do
going to
too.
try to add a
Why not
second
have a
thing to
debate?
it, and you
Because
rushed me through it. Because okay, whatever.
I'm trying to talk about it now, but now you're going off it. You're switching back and forth.
No,
You're
no.
flip
I was still on
flopping.
track. No, I was still on track.
You're really not, Mike.
I
You're
was
not.
on track. Yeah.
And then you're going to start bad mouthing me. Why am I doing it? Why are you doing this, motherfucker? You come on, talk like a. Let's have an adult conversation.
It's hard to have an adult conversation with you.
Of course it is, Mike. You're it's so easy. You're so easy to have a conversation with. Also, listen,
Yeah, I am.
let's have a debate on this show. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm telling you.
It would
You,
be.
Brian, Derpy, you think it would be fun?
Yes.
Let's do it. You come with your information. Mike will come, or Derpy, or I'm sorry, Brian will come with his information and have a debate. It'll be fun. It's in the spirit of the election, and you guys can bring
Exactly.
your arguments and your facts, and we can let people listen. Why is this? Why am I getting shit on for having this idea? I think
Because
it sounds like
you're.
a. Go ahead.
Never mind. Never mind. Just keep going. Just keep
No,
going.
please, because I'm what?
No. Just keep going. Just keep going.
So I think people can see here. Let's continue on.
Yeah, that you're irrational.
I'm what?
You're rational.
Mike, I'm hosting a show and I'm trying to come up with good ideas, and a debate between two people that have disagreeing ideas
I
would
was
be a
trying to
good
add
segment.
points to a show too about a topic we were on hand on, and
Somebody's
you
just
just brushed
listening to
right
the
past
show.
me.
Do you think they heard your point? If somebody's just listening to this show, did they hear what your point was?
Well, because you were talking about negative things that Steeler fans were saying about the show, and I
And
saw
wouldn't
one
a
too
debate be
that's
great? All I'm
popular.
saying was, wouldn't a debate
I
be
was
great?
about a different talk. It was about Russell Wilson. People were saying that or his throws, underthrows, or not, and you're like, oh, we don't have time for that. Like, so we can't. That was in the topic of what
Which
we
we
were
didn't
talking
have time
about.
for. You're right, because we're down
So
to
yeah, and
7
never
minutes.
have
And we still
any time for what I bring up. Okay. So
Mike,
let's
I
go.
want to have a whole segment for you, you dummy. If you listen to what I'm saying, let's have both of you talk, give your points,
That
and you can
wasn't
look like a
about.
fucking
Oh my
brain.
god,
If you would
motherfucker!
fucking
That's not what I was talking about. Like we were in talking about what fans were
Mike, nobody
negative
knows what you're
about, and I
talking
brought up
about right now.
something.
You're very
Point number two
confusing
to it.
because you're all over the place.
No, I'm not. I'm actually on.
Okay,
point.
there you go. We'll let the people decide, but we do have to move on, everybody. Derpy will debate for me. No, I want you too, Brian. Listen, don't chicken shit.
Don't put it
Let's
on
get
me.
both you guys. It'll be in the spirit of the election.
Like, what
You
are we
guys could have a
debating?
debate.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. What are we debating?
Whatever you guys were arguing all day about yesterday, and whatever you guys are arguing about now, we'll have a debate. It'll be fun. It's a good thing, Mike.
Just about the scheme of how they use T.J. Watt in one game.
Maybe, yeah. We'll come up with an idea. We'll plan it out. Is that okay? I think it'd be good for the show. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Hilarious.
But I'm the bad guy, so we will continue. Guys, also, we do have picks for this past weekend. Derpy, I think your strategy sunk you this time. You were up 5 weeks to 1. You used an interesting strategy where you let Mike pick first. You basically picked all the same games, but there was one game that you picked that you hoped that you would win, and that would get you the win. It backfired on you. Mike, you got 11 of the 1, 2, 3, about 14 games this weekend, 11 of them correct. Derpy, you got 10. You lost by 1, but it was on your particular strategy here where you took the Texans over the Packers. The Packers did win. That gives Mike the win for the week and makes it 5-2 on the season. Derp, you have 5 wins this season. Mike, you have 2 wins this season. And, of course, the winner will get Permani Brothers sandwiches. As somebody mentioned on the board earlier, Russell Wilson has his own Permani Brothers sandwich, but that's right. One of the guys will be getting Permani Brothers sandwiches depending on if they win the picks, and we will be Thursday. Thursday, we'll be picking the picks for this week. So, Derpy, you're going to try to get back into it. Mike, you're going to try to stack some wins, and we have the halfway point, basically, week 8 picks coming on Thursday.
Congrats, Mike. Well played.
Hey, it's hard to keep me down, Derpy.
Derpy had a dog day afternoon. John says on the board. Also, guys, let's get over these other things real quick because we got 5 minutes left. The Penguins back in action tonight. They are out west in Canada playing the Flames. The Flames are 5-4 at this point. The Penguins come in with a 3-4 record. That game is 9:30 tonight. If you want to watch the Pittsburgh Penguins. Also, starting today, the NBA kicks off its season. Tips off, I guess you could say. The New York Knicks take on the Boston Celtics, and the Minnesota Timberwolves take on the Lakers today in the NCAA. This coming weekend, well, the Pitt Panthers play Thursday on the Thursday night ESPN college game. But this weekend, Mike, your number 3 Penn State will be taking on Wisconsin, which is a game that I know that you're kind of concerned about. When you get Wisconsin, I know that you get a little bit concerned and a little worried. You always feel that this is a team that could possibly beat Penn State.
Yeah, Wisconsin and us being ranked number 3. If they come out and without starting slow, I will be happy and not nervous at all. But every game this year, Penn State has started slow and then heated up as the game went on. At some point, it's going to bite us in the ass. Hopefully not this week, because I think Derby, Ohio State's the week after.
Yes, sir.
Ooh, that's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so they have to take care of business this week, because I believe we're gonna probably lose to Ohio State, and just because of the slow starts. But if they can get off to a fast start this week, and there'll be good momentum going into the next week.
Derpy, you're number 1 or number 4. I'm sorry, number 4, Ohio State. They host Nebraska. The Cornhuskers, that game's at noon on Saturday, and Bryan's West Virginia, they are at Arizona this weekend, and that is all your local college football scoop. I do want to talk a little bit more about the WNBA, Mike. There's a couple of things where one of our viewers emailed me about the WNBA. We're going to get into that a little bit more tomorrow. We don't have much time. But also, we do want to talk about that the World Series. Any picks from you guys on this World Series? Mike, Yankees, Dodgers, Derpy? Yankees, Dodgers?
I feel like it's the Yankees here. I just have that feeling like they're going to win. And it's going to be Judge is better than Ohtani. There's going to be the talk.
Derpy, who do you like in this one? And I know you don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it, but I care less. Because it's all about the
totally
Benjamins at the end of the day.
No, you're right. The 2 highest paid teams are in.
I would say I feel like the Yankees beat the better team.
All right.
Isn't that always the saying, like when your team loses, the better team lost this one? It just fluked out that way.
Mike, why don't you tell everybody about the website, man?
The2dumyinzers.com. Head on over there, everyone. Check it out. We got the merch store. We got the blog with links to all of our social media. It's more than what's listed across the bottom. Check it out at the2dumyinzers.com.
All right, guys, it is trivia time. It is New York Giant trivia time. Of course, you're on the show. Whoever the Steelers are playing that week, that is who the trivia is about all through the week. Here we go. Mike, Derpy, put on your thinking caps. People on the board, everyone home. Here is the question of the day about the Giants. 4 different quarterbacks took the New York Giants to 5 Super Bowls. Can you name the 4 different quarterbacks that did it, Mike and Derpy? And I guess this is kind of hard because once you start picking, it's going to be hard for Derpy. So let me ask you this first. Derpy, do you know how many of the 4 Giants quarterbacks do you know?
Eli. That's it. I'm up here real.
All right, so that's okay. So Mike, over to you now. Can you name the 4 Super Bowls that took the Giants to 5, or the 4 quarterbacks that took the Giants to 5 Super Bowls? I'm sorry.
Wow. We got Eli. We got Phil Simms. Kerry Collins.
So you're saying Manning, Simms, Collins.
I'm drawing a blank. I almost said Kent Graham.
Well, he was a Giant.
He was a giant. He couldn't beat out Cordell Stewart and
Yeah.
Jim Miller. So
All right. So the question of the day was this, guys. 4 different quarterbacks took the New York Giants to 5 Super Bowls. Can you name the 4 quarterbacks? Between Mike and Derby, they figured out that Eli Manning was one. That is correct. Phil Simms is one. That is correct. Kerry Collins was one. That is correct. He was the only one to lose. He lost to the Ravens in 2000. So we are missing one quarterback. Phil Simms won their first against the Broncos in 88. Eli Manning wins the 2 against the Patriots. Kerry Collins against the Baltimore Ravens, the loss. And Phil, the steal, you did get it. Jeff Hostetler was the one that beat the Buffalo Bills in the wide right 20-19 Super Bowl. Jeff Hostetler actually isn't too far from here. He's from Johnstown, about an hour and a half, 2 hours east of here. But Jeff Hostetler was that 4th quarterback. That is correct to Phil the Steal and Brian on the board. Good job, guys. So the answer is Phil Simms, Jeff Hostetler, Kerry Collins, and then Eli Manning for 2 of them. So
the bad thing is, like, I could picture some dude with a fucking mustache, and that was Hostetler. Couldn't remember the name.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. He wasn't too memorable. I think he played for the Raiders a little bit after the Giants, and then he was kind of gone. But he was from really close to here, so that is something that I certainly remember.
Yeah, they had a really good defense that year. Wasn't that LT still on that team?
Yeah, and LT, Carl Bang. I mean, the whole defense was pretty badass.
Stacked defense.
Guys, I do want to say, what do I want to say? Anything before we start getting ready to wrap it up, Mike?
Mike Tomlin was informed by the league that it was the incorrect call on Micah Fitzpatrick. It was a good block.
Imagine that. If all these apologies that we get after the fact would ever mean anything, we'd be in good shape.
No, I know.
Maybe stack them up, and if there's so many bad calls against you, you get like a higher draft pick or something.
Exactly.
I guarantee they start fixing shit.
God.
Because yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, there you go.
You're robbing a player of a great play. You're robbing the team of the momentum.
You're robbing fans. You're robbing everybody by being that blatantly wrong.
Nope.
Derpy, what about you, man? Anything before you get ready to take off?
Let's go Pens.
All right, Penguins back in action tonight. They do play at Calgary against the Flames. I do want to say thank you to everybody for coming and hanging out with us today. We appreciate each and every one of you. We really, really, really do. We wouldn't do it without you. I do want to say thank you to everybody on the board. You guys always keep things interesting. My thing for the day is this. I had something that was stupid, so I'm gonna change a little bit.
Oh God.
Do listen now. I'm being this is of friendly nature. It really is friendly fire.
I'm nervous.
Would you guys like to do something like this? Would you guys like to have a TJ Watt debate on the show? I think it'll be a lot of fun because it's both opinions coming from both sides. It's a strong opinion on both ways. A lot of people feel so strong one way and the other. And I got to be honest, I would love to hear it right here on the show.
It would be hilarious.
It would be fun. Yeah, because you know how I am with TJ Watt. Some weeks I love him, other weeks I hate him.
Me and Derpy will be the moderators. We'll ask the questions, and you and Brian. It'll be just like a presidential debate. We'll do it in the spirit of the election. I think this could be a lot of fun.
It will be fun. It will be fun. That way we're not typing back and forth on the board.
Right. And again, people could be entertained by what it is that you're saying. Because I found it entertaining what you guys yesterday. And I thought to myself, if these two would get on the air and have this conversation, it could be a lot of fun. So think that over, Mike. Brian, you do the same. We'll try to put something in the works. I think this could be a lot of fun on the show. That's my thought for the day. Cheers. Phil still says, and I was a beast defensive end. So when I would get double teamed, that opened up my other teammates. So I'm saying both of these guys have good points. I want to hear them at the same time, prepare maybe for a day or two, get your main points out there and debate. I think, again, in the spirit of the election, this could be a lot of fun because I'm already over with the federal election. So let's have a little fun on the show.
Big Sexy in the Steel 2024. That's the ticket, baby.
What'd you say?
Big Sexy, that's me. The Steel, let's feel the Steel 2024.
All right, hold on. So now Brian's saying my debate is tough without film. Well, that and his is too.
Mine is too.
I think it could be a lot of fun. Again, both of you guys think this over. maybe we'll try to put something together for I don't know. It's going to be
We
in the
can,
next 2 weeks
we
because
do,
the election's
Brian.
in 2
Brian,
weeks.
we'll bring up the little football dots that I had 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah, bring your evidence yeah.
We'll bring
I
the
want
little dots
exhibit
over.
I want your exhibits, your evidence, all that stuff. We're going to have a lot of fun with this. So we'll definitely
We'll
be
bring out
putting
the rumble board.
yes. But also I do want you to check out Brian tomorrow on his radio show over at WBVP 99.3 Beaver County Radio. You can check him out on Facebook, on our page or his page on One Man's Opinion on Sports with Brian Pasquale. And then also on Sunday, he does have the pre-show for the Steeler game, and he's putting out these really cool videos. They're short videos. I do think that you will like them. Go check out Brian, great friend of the show. And like I said, I would love to see the debate between Mike and Brian on the show. I think it would do really great. I think people would enjoy it. Other than that, what else? Anything else, Derpy, before we go?
It looks like we're doing Color Rush.
Oh yeah,
This
yeah.
is-
Oh, are
For
we?
the game. Yeah, the color rush
What,
jerseys
don't we
for
have
Monday
all
night.
black for our color rush?
All black with the yellow helmet,
Okay.
and you're gonna look sleek in the all black, man. The guys are gonna be flying around in the all black.
See, Phil the Steel is he's pushing for you. He says, "Mike, go for it." He's he wants to see it.
I think
I
people
want to
just like
see
to see.
this.
Everyone just likes to see me act irrationally on the show. No. You're all antagonizing me. Then I start calling my friend a motherfucker.
Hey, but it's all right. I have a tongue. I
Hey, now.
motherfucked you back.
Yeah, I know.
Derpy looks
now.
like the inner workings of an anus.
Well,
And
it's. Can I blame it on the lack of sleep?
yeah,
Okay, not just me
Derpy,
being an asshole.
and yeah, you know what? We'll go over that a bit tomorrow or Thursday or
What,
Friday.
me being an asshole?
No, Derpy's picture. I was gonna say what happened to it, but I do know because Mike switched
Yeah, I switched platforms.
the platform, so that is why. Okay, all right.
You too.
I think that's
Now I'm
everything.
in a much better mood now.
You should be.
The thing is, though, I'm never mad at Ryan. It's always some outside influence that makes me mad, and then I just take it out on him. Unfortunately, it's always on air.
I guess we'll talk about this debate. We'll talk to Brian about it. I would like to do it like, if we
Yeah.
can, like, maybe next Tuesday. Something again, let's kind of line it up
Yeah, yeah.
with the election. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
It'd be fun.
Guys, I think that's about everything for today.
Yeah.
But again, maybe check out the Penguins tonight. They are back in action.
Let's go.
Not a whole lot going on in the sports world, but we'll certainly keep up on all the Steelers scoop moving forward. Again, the Giants, Steelers, Monday Night Football this coming week. Maybe not. We could get a little help from the Eagles. Maybe they could beat the Bengals for us, and hopefully maybe the Browns could even beat the Ravens, which I think is a stretch. But those are a couple games that we could certainly that could help us this weekend. I think that's about everything, guys.
Yep.
I hope everybody has a great day. For Derpy, for Mike in the Steeler Central Mobile Studio, myself, everybody have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.